Hello everyone, I'm Yvonne, a children's librarian here at the Manchester City Library, and welcome to Elementary Experiments. Here we will do experiments and activities aimed at elementary grades 1 through 6 with a focus on STEAM, or science, technology, engineering, math, or art. This fall we are going to continue to have our in-person events at 3:30 p.m. on the second Wednesday and the fourth Tuesday of the month. We are going to actually be doing the same activity and craft on both days that month to hopefully allow everyone who would like to participate. We will be putting this video up at the beginning of the month so that anyone who is not able to come can still follow along, or if you want to get a sneak peek so that you can come later in the month, that's also an option. Remember, if you would like to join us in person, please visit our website to register to make sure that we have enough supplies for everyone. Any extra craft kits that we do have will be put out at the Children's Reference Desk so that you can take them home and follow along with this video. Now that that's all been covered, let's get into this month's elementary experiments. Hello everyone, and welcome to this month's elementary experiments, where we are going to be talking about Halloween science. Specifically, we are going to be looking at bleeding paper and how to make color-changing potions. I hope that you enjoy. Remember, this video is coming out on our first elementary experiments day, which is October 9th, but we will have another one on the 22nd. So if you are watching this before the 22nd, please go to the Manchester City Library website, and if you are in grades 1 through 6, or you know someone in grades 1 through 6 who would like to sign up, please do that so that you can meet us for our second elementary experiments in person. If you want to continue watching, that's totally cool. You'll just get a jump start on what we will be doing. But of course, coming in person means we will provide the supplies, and signing up means that we will have enough supplies for everyone. All right, that being said, let us get started for our activity, which is going to be our bleeding paper. So here I have a piece of homemade goldenrod paper. So basically, as you all have seen in the instructions, how to make this is to take some turmeric. So this is a spice that you can find at just about any grocery store, or you might have some at home already. Definitely ask an adult before you take their spices, and also ask an adult because we are dealing with hot water. So I have here some water that I have just boiled. And I am going to pour it into my bowl of turmeric spice. Remember, definitely let an adult know what you are doing and preferably have them help you with this. It also can be a bit messy. Another reason you want to double check to make sure this is okay to do. And if you want your hands to remain unyellow, I suggest that you wear gloves or use tongs. So what we're going to do is we would take our turmeric and our hot water, and we're going to mix it up. It's not necessarily all going to dissolve because turmeric doesn't dissolve super well in water. We would need another base or another liquid to dissolve it. But what it will do is if we have a plain piece of paper, this here is some construction paper, because construction paper is more loosely put together. So as opposed to like printer paper, there are bigger holes in construction paper on like a microscopic level. And so what we would do is we would take our turmeric and water mixture and we would put it into a tray. I'm not going to do that all on screen, but it's pretty simple. You would pour this into a tray that was big enough for your paper, and then you would just dip your paper into the tray and then sort of turn it over, maybe give it a couple of seconds, and then you would take your paper out. It is going to be covered in yellow, and this is where you would get yellow on your hands if you are not careful, and put it onto a piece of paper towel or another towel that you, again, don't mind getting dyed yellow. And then you would set that aside to dry. And then once it is dry, you end up with this piece of paper, like I showed you in the beginning. The water is partially here to help open the pores of the paper. So even though construction paper does have like bigger holes in it than like printer paper, water actually expands the fibers of paper, which allow the water and therefore the turmeric that is in the water to get into those papers. And then when it dries, the fibers of the paper will then constrict again. So when they dry, they're going to shrivel up a bit, and that's going to hold the turmeric in place. When the paper is dried, there will be some turmeric on the surface. I just took a paper towel and I kind of scrubbed it away a little bit until you have this, which, you know, is pretty good. I don't think there's anything coming off of it anymore. So like, I wouldn't necessarily put it on top of like your nice white tablecloth, but the paper is pretty self-contained at this point. Okay, so that was a very quick speed run of how to make our homemade goldenrod paper. Okay, now comes the fun part where we are going to make this paper bleed. Okay, so I'm going to start here just to give you like the sort of effect, and then we'll talk about it. So I'm going to wet my hand here and then put it on the paper. All right. Okay. If you guys can see on the paper, my handprint has turned red. Oh, I don't know. Hold on, let me try one more time. There we go. Need a nice amount of liquid on there. All right. So you can see that if we look here where the liquid has landed, you can see that it turns this like really red color. Like it does look kind of like blood, a little bit like oldish blood even. I think that it's kind of awesome. But also with this that I just used, it will evaporate. So this liquid, my magic liquid, is actually just Windex. The special ingredient that in this Windex that is letting this happen is the ammonia. Household ammonia in something like Windex is not what I would call a very dangerous chemical, but it is so good to have adult supervision and also probably to wash your hands after you do this trick. So one of the questions we like to ask in elementary experiments is, why did this happen? And the truth is that our goldenrod paper is basically a pH indicator. Now we've definitely talked about pH before in elementary experiments, and it's basically a type of chemical that will react to something one way if it is an acidic chemical, so like an acid. So acids don't have to be necessarily something super dangerous like what the Joker would fall into, but it can be something like lemon juice. Lemon juice is acidic, so is vinegar. And then the the chemical in the goldenrod paper, or the pH indicator, will also react differently to something if that other chemical is alkaline or basic, right? So a base that you guys probably have run up against is baking soda. And I just happen to have a little bit of baking soda mixed with water, as well as some vinegar here. All right, so we're going to play a little bit more with our paper. Let's test if we have our baking soda and water mixture. What happens if we put on the paper? This color difference is showing up well on the camera. It's a little hard to tell, but you can see that it turns that red color, right? Now, if I take some of our vinegar, right, which is, as we mentioned, acidic, if I put it on top of here, you can see that it actually changes back to a yellow, right? So it's a little bit like erasing what I had previously written. So you can use this to color back and forth, or like I said, to make that sort of bloody effect. What's really cool is if you do like a little bit of splatter. So we have some of our baking soda and water, and we're just going to kind of splash onto the page, and we get this red splatter across, which I think again is a pretty cool effect. All right, I did also want to point out that if you are coloring with your baking soda and vinegar, it will stay red. So here I have an example. Let me reach. Here I have an example that I did a couple days ago. And as you can see, it has stayed that red color. And in fact, the baking soda and vinegar not baking soda and vinegar, the baking soda and water actually kind of gets a little bit redder for a little while over time. So when you first put it down, it might not be as obvious, but it really kind of blooms through, which is the opposite of what happens here if you use Windex or something else similar. Remember, it kind of goes immediately that color and then fades, rather than sort of this one will fade out, while this one will fade in. Again, both cool effects. It just depends on what you want to do with your project. Okay, one last thing I wanted to try, and this I haven't tried yet, is if we take a white wax candle or a clear wax crayon. Supposedly we can actually do some like invisible writing with this. So I have put a hidden message on this page. Now we're going to go ahead and take, you know what, let's do our Windex solution. Let me try that first. All right, I don't know if that was the most clear. Here, let me try. I think it's largely because of my poor writing skills with my candle. Let's try that again. Let's try this again. And this time I'm going to try with the baking soda and water, just because I think that might be a little bit, give us more time to read it, especially because like when the paper gets wet, it is also a little bit hard to tell the difference between the wax and the paper, I think. All right, I think you can read that I wrote hi on there. And I think that's not bad. It's something that I think would need practice and would definitely work better if you had like a thinner wax candle, or probably even better a clear wax marker or crayon. A clear wax crayon would be the best. That is about all for our really cool bleeding paper. Like I said, there's a lot of cool ways to use this, and I hope that you guys enjoy it. Remember, first of all, to be safe, so don't do anything that you think will really upset someone. We want to do this all in good fun, as well as being safe by having your adult helpers help you with the setup of this, especially when using any kind of chemicals, even if they are pretty safe chemicals. Welcome to our craft portion of our Halloween science. So we are going to be making some color changing potions. I do have an example here that I made previously, and that I'm going to walk through this with you. So here I have my bottle of swamp snot. So it is a green, and hopefully, again, sometimes I'm not sure how colors are going to show up. But here we have a green, and then if I shake it for you guys, we get a swirling yellow-green. So this isn't the hugest color change, but I thought it was really cool and worked well for my swamp snot potion. So if you do pick up one of our kits from the Manchester City Library, It is going to be a random assortment of both base color. So we have a little bit of, let me show you. We are going to have a random bag of food coloring that might be a little bit dried out like mine. And then we are going to have another random bag of mica powder. So this mica powder is what is going to make our color change possible. Of course, we have our directions here so that you can follow along on your own speed as well. We're going to have a couple of pieces of sort of aged paper for our beautiful labels. And then we are going to have a bottle. So they also are going to be a kind of a random size bottle, as you can see here. This one is a bit smaller and this one's a bit bigger. So it's just whatever is in there is what we are going to work with. That is kind of like the most fair way that we could figure out how to get all these potions to everyone. Okay, so that's what is in the kit. Then, of course, what you're going to want is some water. You're going to want a way to get the water into your thing. So either a funnel of some type, possibly a dropper of some type. And then I also kind of suggest for the mica powder, you might want to actually use some paper. So like the directions or another scrap piece of paper like the directions from a previous month to help get the powder in there. Also, we are going to want to have a marker if you would like to write your label, and then some glue to put the label on here. And then also, so far I've actually found that the corks work well, but some type of strong glue or hot glue is a really good idea if you want to make sure that this stays closed. And so when you're shaking it, you don't accidentally spill it, because that would not be the most fun thing to clean up. Okay. You can also get some other items that you would like to put into your potion. Like for my swamp snot, I don't know if you guys can tell, again, since I sort of shook it already up here, and there's a glare, but I did actually get some water beads to put in here. Obviously, water beads are for decoration only. You should definitely never eat them. They cause very bad things to happen inside of you. Also, anything that you put in here, including the water and the mica powder, is not for drinking. It is for decoration only. Remember, our first rule of elementary experiments is to be safe, and part of that is that we never eat or put anything into our mouths that we didn't make specifically to be put in our mouths. And we are not doing that today. We did not wash our hands and prepare food safe items. These are all only for decoration. Also, that you want to put things in here that are going to last a long time. Even just with the water and the mica powder, it is possible for your potions to get moldy, in which case you would need to empty them out and throw them away, right? Because that is not really a safe thing to carry around. And the more things you put in, especially if you put something like plants or other things that are organic and therefore can decompose or would grow mold on them, that is going to mean that your potion will last a shorter amount of time. So just think about all of these things as we start to make our potion together. First, what I'm going to do is to fill my bottle most of the way full with water. So I am going to use my funnel. If you do not have a funnel, I would suggest filling it over a sink. Honestly, filling it under the tap of the sink is also a pretty easy way to fill these bottles. So I have filled it most of the way up. I'm still leaving some space in here. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to add our color. So as you can see, my bag of food coloring is pretty squished and dried out. So what I'm going to do is add some water to my bag. Again, you can do this with a faucet pretty easily, but since I am here with you, I'm going to use my little dropper. And as you can see, if I can hold it for you, that water gets all of the food coloring to turn back to our liquid state. Oh, and it's starting to stain my hands. That's another thing you gotta watch with food coloring. All right, so once you have the liquid, you can add it to your potion. Now, you might not want to use all of the food coloring in your bag. Remember, a little bit of food coloring goes a long way. And we don't want to make the potion too dark because then sometimes it's kind of harder to see the mica powder color change. But again, do what you want. It is your experiment. So I'm going to add a little bit. Let's see. I think I can pour it directly in. Maybe I should have used my dropper to control this better. Oh well. Anyway, let's see if that is good. I'm going to take this. I'm going to shake it up a bit. Oh yeah, okay, not too bad. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my mica powder. And basically what it is going to do is it will be suspended in the water, similar to how the food coloring is, right? So when it is suspended in the water, then the light that is hitting our potion bottle will reflect off of the tiny pieces of mica and reflect from those pieces back to your eye. So your eyes see the color of the mica powder instead of seeing the color of the water. Now, if I would let this settle, so all of the mica powder would go back to the bottom, like at the very beginning when this was like a darker green, then the light going into the potion bottle hits off of the food coloring and bounces back to our eye to inform us that, oh, that was a dark green. Rather than the mica being like, oh, that is like a yellow green, right? So we are going to add this into our potion. But remember, because this is so small and powdery, it is going to puff up into the air really easily. Again, another reason to make sure that you are in an area that is safe for you to perform your experiments in, because you will get a little bit of mica powder on whatever you are around. And so we are going to pour this as carefully as we can into our bottle. Here, I think I am going to make, with my scrap paper, I'm going to see if I can make a little funnel. And I'm going to try my best to pour this in. I say that working together with a partner is probably the best way to do that, but I will do my best by myself. All right, I think that might be the best that I'm going to get, at least by myself, what I have. So if we shake that up, all right. We see here that this turns like a white, still a little bit blue from the food coloring. You are going to get like that kind of blend a little, but it's definitely a different color, especially considering that my food coloring did start out a little bit dark because I poured a little bit too much in by accident, but that's a beautiful color change. So here what I'm going to do then is go ahead and figure out what I would like to call this potion. Obviously you could have done the label beforehand, but I wanted to see what the color change would look like so that I could come up with a cool name. I had an idea before, and I think that the color change actually really does work. So I am going to put on my label for this potion, I'm going to call it Mermaid Tears. Here's that, and then you can either cut it or rip it. I am going to try and rip it because I like kind of the edge. It is harder and you have to be careful that you don't accidentally tear into your words. But I did give you 2 pieces of old parchmenty paper just in case that you did mess up a little bit. So if you do rip it, It's not the end of the world, and you can try again. And now to get it onto our bottle, we're going to try and make sure the bottle is cleanish. And then just take some glue. You can just use regular school glue or something a little bit fancier like a Mod Podge. And we're just going to put it on the back. We want to spread it out evenly so that it's covering the whole surface of the back, right? Now we take this and we're just going to put it on the top of the thing, and then we're just going to sort of smush it down. There are going to be some wrinkles that are added because we are taking, a flat piece of paper and putting it onto a round bottle, but that's okay. It just kind of makes it look more cool and old-timey, right? There we have our labeled potion. Again, if you wanted to, you could seal this label either with another layer of glue or your layer of Mod Podge or other sealant. But we're basically ready. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to fill this up a little bit more. Now, if you were going to add anything extra, like your water beads or like other types of beads, basically at this step, anything else that could raise the water level is what you're going to want to put in. Because if the bottle is too full and you tried to put some other like beads in here, then it would overflow and that would be less fun to clean up. So let me double check to make sure I don't want to add anything else. I did find the shiny rhinestones that I'm just going to pop in because why not? So now that I have put in my extra shiny bits, which I may or may not like, that's okay. Let's put in the rest of our water and plug it up. All right. And so this is when you would want to seal your bottle if you think that you are all done. Just put some glue on around the inside on the cork and pop it in. You can also do some extra decorations to the outside of your bottle. I definitely have seen some very cool ones online where they use like hot glue or hot like sealing wax. Again, ask an adult to help you to sort of like put it on the top and seal and make it pretty, and or use some string or cord to wrap around the neck of the bottle here. But we are basically done. So I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial on how to make a color changing potion. Alright everyone, I hope that you enjoyed learning about Halloween science. Even if you don't use it for Halloween, they are fun magic tricks all the year round. I also want to encourage you guys to come to the Manchester City Library. We have some cool books on color and magic and science experiments, some of which I am going to put on screen after I am finished. Also, visit our website to either register for our next elementary experiments or look and see what else we have going on. We do have a lot going on in October, so definitely see what is there. Younger siblings or older siblings also have things going on that they can do if they are not the right age for elementary experiments. But even if I don't see you there, I hope that you will come here again for next month's elementary experiments, where we are going to be having a bubble bonanza. So we are definitely going to be looking into better ways to make cooler bubbles. So until then, I will say goodbye.